Now, over 2,000 kilometres further west, the group of 7 developed economies are wrapping up their latest summit in the hills of southern Germany. Those leaders have already pledged to help and support Ukraine for as long as it takes. For more, we can bring in our international affairs commentator Douglas Herbert, who's covering this summit for us. Doug, the shelling of this shopping mall has sparked reaction among leaders where you are. They've issued a statement to say that President Vladimir Putin and those responsible will be held to account.
Yeah, Tom, lots of condemnation, lots of outrage coming out of this summit. And that statement also basically saying that the G7 will not rest until Russia ends its, as they call it, cruel and senseless war on Russia. Now, Volodymyr Zelenskiy, who addressed this conference yesterday via video link, he's gone even further. He's basically called on the U.S. to brand Russia a state sponsor of terrorism. He's called Russia itself the world's largest terrorist organization. Now, those are strong words. Those are fighting words. The problem is, and this has been sort of a theme throughout this G7 meeting, is there's a sense of impotence when it comes to these world leaders in the West to do anything about it. Neither economic sanctions nor military supplies to Ukraine, at least to date, has been able to do anything to thwart or slow down Putin's war machine in any way. He continues to rake in revenues from his oil sales, and his army has been making incremental gains in the east and a blitz of airstrikes throughout this summit, as if he's, laughing and showing his contempt very publicly for these leaders. The defiance has seen strikes on cities from Kiev, the capital, to Kharkiv in the northeast, to Lysychansk, to this horrific strike right now in Kremenchuk. So basically, Putin has shown the G7, without having to even explicitly say it, he can strike across Ukraine wherever he wants, whenever he wants. And guess what, guys? He's implicitly saying, there's very little you can do to stop me. And you know what? He has a point, because Volodymyr Zelensky has been literally cap in hand, begging, groveling these leaders for more weapons, heavy weapons. And sure, some have been coming through. There have been some hints that the U.S. will be making a big announcement about some of those anti-air defense systems that Ukraine desperately needs, the heavy artillery it desperately needs. But the weapons are nowhere near the quantities they need, and they're not coming as quickly as Ukraine needs. It's still relying on a Soviet-era arsenal. Its ammunition is running low. It needs the weapons actually yesterday. It's not getting them, and the bottom line is the West just doesn't have the wherewithal or the capacity to supply them fast enough.
And Doug, as I was saying, this is the final day of this G7 summit, with leaders there pushing to try and stop Vladimir Putin's war machine. Just how successful have those leaders been?
Unsuccessful. But look, G7 summits are all about trying to paper over the differences and trying to at least, squeeze some blood from the stone and make it look like that they have come to consensus on something. One of the, big talking points that we expect in the final communique is early on the first day of the summit, the agreement to ban imports of new Russian gold being a giant source of revenues for Russia. So yes, it would choke some of the money from Putin's war machine, his ability to finance that war, also cutting off a lot of the oligarchs' sources of income. But in the big realm of the big picture, it's not really a big deal. The bigger debate on putting a cap on oil, much has been made about that. Everyone's been talking about this. That is putting a ceiling on the maximum price that Russia can charge when it sells a barrel of oil on the international market. It sounds great on paper. The problem is, even some of the leaders here privately don't think it's workable, because it really means getting a whole host of countries on board and agreeing to sell their oil at this lower price. It's probably not going to happen. I could even go further and say it's not going to happen, in the sense that India and China, two of the biggest buyers of Russian oil since this invasion, and enough of oil they've been buying to compensate for the loss of oil sales to Europe, they are extremely unlikely to join, let alone the big producers such as Saudi Arabia or even the United Arab Emirates, who are already, they say, pumping to full potential. So the idea being, to lower the price of oil, meaning Putin would get less revenue from his oil sales, and that would presumably, or so the logic goes, put a pinch on his ability to fund the war. I really don't think that's going to happen. If we're lucky, we might get a statement, an ambitious statement on food security for Africa, for the developing world. That has been a big topic at this summit, but even there, we're not likely to see much. In this 3-day summit, barely an hour and a half have been devoted to issues other than in Ukraine, including some of the world's biggest issues now: food insecurity, health, and climate change. So yes, we will have a final communique. Yes, we will have some incremental measures to try to cut off some of Putin's funding, to try to provide perhaps more weapon supplies, which is really going to be NATO's going to be picking up the baton in the next summit after this. But all in all, at the end of this summit, I can't say it's been a stunning success. And if anything, it's been an opportunity for Putin to showcase his determination to push on in this war.
Douglas Herbert there in southern Germany. Thank you very much.